All right, good evening, everyone. We're back to, was today, May 8th. Carl is gonna tie for us. Uh, we will get on with him. That's a good nymph indicator or nymph. Uh, God, what am I trying to think? Attractor pattern. So we'll let him start on this, and then I've got some stuff to kind of go through. Going to talk about Jefferson Barracks and then about a big event that's coming up for us. That's kind of, for me, very exciting. So we'll talk about all that. But Carl, why don't you go ahead and take over and start tying? So you are up.
Well, hey everybody, hope you guys doing well. We finally got some rain over here, which was good because we were pretty dry. So got to think that rain's a good thing. I had failed miserably to get this information to Mick, but we've already kind of tied a Frenchie, and I'm going to tie a sexy Walt worm, and this is out of Tim Camisa's book, and it's basically a sort of a Euronymph pattern in a sense where it's supposed to have a tungsten beadhead slotted, but this one is pink and it's not slotted, but it is tungsten. I did fish some of these in the pond yesterday afternoon, and I didn't have much time to fish. I just went out there to kind of really see how this thing did, and it sinks really well. In fact, I put a floating foam beetle on top as on a hopper dropper, and this thing, I could see it when I would pull it. I could see it pulling on it. So just in and of itself, it's got some decent weight to it. I'm not going to tie it weighted. If we got time, we can do it weighted, but it's not necessary with this tungsten because it sinks just as well on its own, like that. So we are going to be using a size 14 jig head hook, black barbless, and you can see the jig heads, they've got the bent head down, which when you do that with the slotted, it holds it down, and it makes the fly hold down in the water inverted. So when it's down, it doesn't catch up on when you're fishing this down at the bottom, it doesn't catch as much in theory on the bottom of the river. But if you're fishing, if you don't get them stuck once in a while, you're not trying. The way I look at it. For the pink tail, I'm going to be just using. I'm going to show you a method I saw that Cheech did on flyfishfood.com on making a tail. You could. I'm just using a floss. It's a 280 near, and I'm going to be doing a little trick with it to show you how to do that. For the body, he recommended a hairline dubbing. I'm going to be using my own special blend of hare's ear mask that I've had over the years. I just accumulate when I do hare's ear gold ribbed hare's ears or hare's ear flies. I put the loose stuff in here, the smaller, finer stuff, and then stuff that I've already pre-mixed. I did an experiment one time. I took a bunch of Flashabou, and I chopped it up real small, and I mixed it inside with my in my hare's ear just to try it. And I wish I'd have cut them a little smaller, but it will give it a little bit of translucency to it if you get it mixed in there. So just something to try if you're interested. And then for the ribbing, I'm just going to be using just a small gold wire. You could use a number of things if you wanted to. Since this is a size 14, I'm going to use a thinner wire for the ribbing on there. And then you can do a number of things with the hot spot if you want. I'm just using some some very old waxed black thread. I think you could pull a tarpon out with this stuff. It's nylon and it's pretty tight. I think it actually came in my first fly fishing box I ever owned 30 years ago, and I haven't used it very much because it's a little thick, but I'm using it because I like that thicker thread on here, especially when I'm putting on the head. Helps secure it a little less winding wraps, and in the essence of time, and I thought it was a good way to use it up for this fly. So anyway, on the beads, keep in mind there's one side, I don't know, it's kind of hard to do with my fingers, but one side's got a thick end on it here, and the other side is narrower. You want to put the narrower side, the smaller, towards the eye of the hook. And so with that, I've got one already put on here. That's what it looks like. So this is the Sexy Waltz Worm, and it's actually I was kidding around with one of my friends down in Nashville, tying a Sexy Waltz Worm, and he goes, "Oh, dude, I use those all the time. They're great." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know that. So anyway, it's kind of a new fly for me to want to try this spring. So I'm going to get a few wraps, and I'm going to wrap pretty tight up around the top of the head here. And this is just another example. If you don't have all the materials, you can improvise on, if you just can't find or want to go spend the money for the expensive tungsten bead heads, there are alternatives that can still work. Change glasses here so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take about I'm going to get a little longer than that. About 12 inches of this pink floss, and I'm just choosing pink on this. Just, you could use Glow Bright yarn. You could use a chartreuse color if you wanted to, a Glow Bright. You could use the hot pink and Glow Bright, just on a Glow Bright yarn. But I saw this trick on YouTube with Fly Fish Food, so I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap that in a little bit. I'm just going to build the head up a little bit here, build the thorax up a little bit with the taper, and this is pretty thick thread, so it'll get away on you real quick if you wrap too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like a little bit of a dubbing loop. I'm going to hold my finger here, and I'm going to just wrap it up around here till I get up about 2 inches of it. And then I'm going to wrap it again around my index finger, go around here again. I'm going to go about 4 turns over. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold all this straight up. Trim that excess off. And then I'm going to just grab my thread, and I'm going to grab it up and around till I get up over to the top of it here. And then I'm just going to keep holding it to the very top till I get it right onto the top of the hook. And I'm just holding with my index finger and my thumb. I'm doing kind of like a pinch wrap kind of thing, but I'm holding it here and I'm pinching it, and I'm just wrapping it, and I'm holding it up as I go along. And this will do 2 things. It helps build the body up a little bit, but it gives you that nice bushy, tail for a tail hot spot, if you will. So I'm going to stop there just short of where a barb would be. In other words, right at the bend of the hook. And then I'm going to stop. I'm going to wrap forward now. And they don't have to be any like super fancy loose wraps, tight wraps. We'll cover that up, and I'm going to take my gold wire or my ribbed wire, whatever you want to use for ribbing. You could use tinsel. You could use a different color thread if you wanted to. But I'm going to use some small copper wire, kind of reinforce the fly a little bit, or when we're wrapping it around the hairs here, gives it that buggy segmentation combo look there. So I'm going to just wrap that up here. And this is a quick tie. I mean, this thing, you could tie a dozen of these in 30 minutes if you had everything out ready to go. All right, so then I'm going to take my hosier material, my dubbing, going to grab a little pinch.
Pages every 2,000.
And then I'm going to put a thin noodle on here, and I'm going to kind of try to taper it a little as I go forward. So I'm just doing a little bit at a time. Get it wrapped in there really well. I'm gonna back the camera up just a little bit so I don't bump anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started. Just like any other dubbing material, you just wrap it, tighten it up a little bit, wrap it. Get a little bit more in here. It could get a little thick on you at times too if you're not careful. And when it does that, you just kind of back it off and put more in there. I'm gonna get a little dubbing wax on this. And as I get up towards the head here of the fly, I'm going to put on a little more because I want to get it a little bushier, a little on the top here. And what I'm going to end up doing with this, I want to get it to where, and again, the reason I'm using this black thick thread, you know, you could, once you get up to this point, you could actually tie it off right here after you get the wire on, and you could use a different, like a bright orange or a different color if you wanted to create some definition of that thorax. So now I'm going to take the wire, I'm going to get a wrap around here, and I get, these aren't touching wraps, they're just segmentation wraps. Try to get it even. Even's only good for the eye. Fish don't care, I don't really think. I'm going to go ahead and wrap that in. Couple on the top, couple on the back. And you can helicopter it off if you want, or cut it, whatever your preference is. So now I'm just going to go ahead and build the head and I'm holding my thumb and forefinger in front of it here, trying to help keep my thread where I want it. And I'm just going to build it up. And it just kind of creates a little definition between the head and the body. So it kind of looks a little bit more like a bug maybe. Maybe a small salmon egg or something like that too, with something hanging out of it. Who knows? I'm gonna whip finish it. Trim that off. And now for the tail, I'm just taking this part, I'm coming back just a little ways, and I'm gonna hold it pretty tight just to give a little taut to it. There we go. It's a sexy waltz worm.
That looks very good.
I like it.
Yep, that would have done wonders down at Bennett last weekend.
I think this would be really good on a hopper dropper.
Yes. Yeah, that's perfect for, drifting under a hopper dropper, or just an indicator by itself. That would
Earl,
be a winner.
Can you use any color on the tail?
Yeah, you could use any color you want. I think the idea of it's just to create something that's catches the attention, if you will, of the fly. You could use any color you wanted to try. I think it's something that's a little orange and pink seem to be pretty hot colors to use in these things. You could use, yellow if you wanted to, but I don't think there's anything that's actually prescribed, what's best to work, where you're going to find out what works good for you doesn't work good for the next guy, or vice versa. So anyway, just kind of a cool way to make a tail and do something a little different. If you don't have all the materials or something, that might be something different to try. You could use, kind of any kind of yarn you wanted to. There's a plethora of stuff you could use for an alternative.
Looks very good. No, those are fun to tie as well. And you could use them at trout park, or even bluegill would go nuts for that.
Yeah, you could crank out several of these in no time flat. I mean, it's a simple fly. So anyway, that's all I got, unless you want me to do another one, or
That's good for now. We'll get some chatting in. I know we had earlier discussions. If we have extra time, we could kind of go to that as well.
Sure.
The next thing I will talk about is I did hear back from JB. So that's good news, bad news. They want to open it back up. And so I was like, cool, maybe we'll get to go back. I haven't been back there in 3 years. And I think I was only there 5 times before the COVID hit. And so I did get something back. Now trying to get back in seems a little bit difficult, but then, things may be changing again soon. So first part of it is they gave me an application and screening form. And so they said they gave me the application to this email, and they said, please complete and return all 3 pages. So there's the first 3-page volunteer application. And then once you get through that, you will go through a background check and get fingerprinted and receive a VA volunteer ID card. After that, we need proof of COVID vaccination is required. The date of your flu vaccination is required. And then you'll need an annual safety training, which could be completed online. And then you'll also need a TB screening. So I don't know how much more blood I will have after they take all that. But
Is it for everybody?
yeah, for every volunteer as of right now today. Now I've heard that in a few days in May, that they are going to, as a country, we're going to say COVID is completely over and resume normal business as like 2019. So, I've heard that as well. So who knows? This might all go away. Maybe just the COVID part. I don't know if they'll still want us to do flu vaccines and everything else. So.
The COVID thing went over. The World Health Organization declared the COVID pandemic as being over.
Over? Okay.
The CDC also declared it as being over, I think within the next day or two. So
that's what I've been hearing, that they're going to say COVID is done and we're going to how we used to live our lives in 2019. So again, that covers just one thing from here. The proof of COVID vaccination is required. So
But I
maybe
will
that-
say this, Mick, I went back to our local VA, our recovery center, almost 7 months ago, and they have absolutely none of those requirements. So I'm wondering if that doesn't sound like it's a VA wide requirement. That sounds like it
That's
might
a
be
St.
unique to-
Louis.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's Jefferson Barracks and St. Louis thing, I'm thinking.
That's a St. Louis thing.
It's a VA world nationwide.
So again, as you hear, we're getting different things. I'm going to be back in contact with them and see, again, it's their house, their rules. So if they want us, if we want to go back, these are some of the things that we will have to go through. Who knows if that will be different from what we all remember pre-COVID. As I said, I probably only was able to make it 5 times before the dome came down. So again, it may be different. I still remember those 5 evenings. I had an absolute blast. Could that change? Yeah, for sure. The old gym is gone, and I guess we're in a new one, which will probably hopefully have better lighting, but smaller. So who knows? Maybe when we go there, we could have our volunteers and participants there, but it sounds like we'll try to do more fly tying and casting with those that are inpatient at the time. If we do have some of our newer participants that we get, like Lee and Scott, by all means they could pull up a chair and tie as well, but I think it's going to be more of an outreach for us trying to help them internally. And maybe that's what it was, but I just couldn't remember as much because, like I said, I got hooked into it. I loved it, and then unfortunately COVID hit. So that's kind of my plans on it. I know we like the Zoom call as well, but I know Mondays were our nights at JB. So I'll probably, talk with them, find out what the best evening is. Mondays will still go on. It might be us doing Zoom calls. It might be us at JB for those who wanted to go. I'm not going to make this mandatory by all means. So if any of those background checks or proof of whatever vaccination you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. I'm not going to force you that you have to attend those. We'll still have a Zoom call, and we'll still, do our meetups to go fishing and all that. This is just going to be us going back to JB. So
is that just participant or just volunteers, or is it participants also?
you could go as a participant as well. You could tie there, or even
No, what I'm talking about is these regulations that you're talking about.
it's going to be if it's participants or volunteers, anyone from Project Healing Water that wants to go to JB to be a participant or volunteer on their property, you will have to do whatever, these applications and proof of vaccine. So again, that's to get on their property. And again, if it's something you don't want to do.
Well, no, because I never get a flu shot, but I mean, I only got one of the vaccines, but
Yeah.
I never got boosters or anything, but I never get flu shots. They make me sick. I don't care what anybody says. My wife argues with me all the time, and she's a nurse. I don't care. It's a dead virus. Every time you give it to me, I get sick.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
again,
don't get it.
that's the perfect example of, Eddie, you don't want to do this, you don't have to do it. Guess what? You're still
I want to do it.
yeah, you still get to do Zoom calls. We'll build rods, we'll go fishing, we'll have all that. Again, this is volunteer. It was fun. I remember that. And so,
Well, and see, that's what I'm looking at is I like being there with everybody, but it's just something. I mean, even my VA doctor knows when I come in, he goes, I've got to ask, but I know you're not going to say no
yeah.
to the flu shot. So, I mean, but it's funny that I've got to have all those to be down there for that. However, I go there for different appointments and everything, and I don't have to have anything.
Yeah, it's again their house, their rules. I know.
Yeah.
Amy, you said you wanted to join in, so please.
No, I'm happy to, and exactly that, Mick. So their house, their rules. Unfortunately, the VA, you guys know, it's different games everywhere, and there's a couple different things that's very confusing to stay up on because if you're talking to somebody at a VA in Florida or Texas or something, they don't have some of these. But the National Advisory Council met August 20 or April 21st, and this came out from the VA that Mick is stating. And so, yes, this is what they've mostly adapted to. And previously, Les and myself and Jim Guerra were the only ones who actually went through the background check, the fingerprint, the TB test, and all the other stuff. We were allowed on property with everybody else just coming in under Project Healing Waters. They have kind of honed in on that. And Mick's seen some of these emails too. Looks like they're going to require a little bit more, but it's something where, again, personal choice. It will figure out some other different options, and luckily, we've all been able to adapt over the last couple of years as well, between Zoom, meeting at the library, fishing outings. If you're not comfortable with it, because I will tell you, it's not for the faint of heart on that side. Just as far as going in and you have to make the appointments, it's a little bit. I am not fully on board with the full decision, and I think it actually is changing kind of where we are with the VA. The rec therapy is amazing. It just for the folks who've been around for a while, Kurt. We also have John Schmenk. We get referrals every single week to this organization from them, and it's something where there's a lot of other opportunity. Let's let this flush out. Officially, everything ends tomorrow, or on Thursday, which is May 11th. As far as the national, I know there's been other news, but we don't know, right? We don't know if it's going to go back to just sure everybody show up like you used to. Let's just wait it out.
Yep.
Might be something that later on. And yeah, apparently we do have a new gymnasium, but it is whatever your personal beliefs are on it. And we don't need to go there. Everybody's got their own reasons on a lot of this, and let's just ride it out. We've already been doing this for 3 years. Just sit tight. No, Whole Health has been able to meet the entire pandemic. It just kind of sucks, right? It is really one of those things, but I would say that this part of it, the foundation's here. I mean, it's good in that, and we have technology. We all figured out how to use it.
Yep. And the Zoom will go on. It's hard to, again, we'll just see what happens. It's, if we're tying on Monday or, add JB and we're like, oh, we want to do Zoom, we might ask, John Wright, hey, can we, just tag along with you guys on Thursdays? We'll see. There's a lot of things that we could say, oh yeah, that would be a good idea. Maybe not, we shall see. But guaranteed, what will be going is we'll still be getting together. We'll be going fishing. We'll have a good time. And that's just a guarantee. And it's only going to get better. And that's where I will then turn this over to Amy again. She's got the floor. So when I say better, as I said in my email, there was a big surprise coming. I'm still giddy over it. And so Amy's probably had more time to kind of calm down. I haven't, so I'll mess it up if I just kind of ramble with it. So I'm going to let Amy tell you guys the big news. I'm still kind of in shock. I'm thrilled. I can't wait for it to happen. And hopefully you guys are right there along with me. So Amy, go ahead, tell them the good news.
So I had to laugh because Mickey didn't read your text, because I'm like, this isn't no, this is actually it's perfect. So there's kind of a process, and you guys have heard of the national casting competition. We just held our regional at Bennett back in April, and Dallas Mudd will be going. Lee came in third, so congratulations, Lee, on this call. And we will be bringing the national contest to Bennett Springs in Bennett Spring in August this year. So it'll be August 28th through September 1st. So it's pretty big deal. It hasn't been out or pushed out. Act surprised when you get the email about it with all the big fancy stuff AJ, our digital guys, doing. But it is something where August 28th through September 1st. So pretty excited, and a lot of support from Bennett Springs State Park, the hatchery there, of course, and the community. So really excited on that. And it was a process, right? Because you have to look at what's the best value. We have to be fiscally responsible, the community support. And first off, Heartland always does their regional casting first on the calendar anyway. So might have had something to do with it, but exciting. And it'll be a great turnout as well.
Yep.
That's unlike the Iowa Democratic Caucus, right?
There- So,
I'll leave that part of it, but I think it is something where it really, kind of laying it out and trying to figure, where people are coming from. And so we have 19 regions within Project Healing Waters, one regional winner per. Usually in the past we've had 14 or 15, but this is a chance to showcase, our state park, and we've got a couple other things lined up between get a fish. When we were in Montana, we fished a day and a half, but here when you can walk 100 yards and fish, pretty cool. They showed that off, and I think it's really something pretty exciting. And then next year it'll open it up. All the field support specialists, they'll take bids for their areas. So again, August 28th through September 1st.
yep. So, Eddie looked like he ducked out. He's got, I think he says mother-in-law does t-shirts. So that's where I told him I want to get us some, St. Louis Project Healing Water t-shirts. So, I just want to get that for all our regulars. And then if you guys want to sport those off, coming down to Bennett, you can. So
I'm back. Sorry about that.
He's back. So that's what I was talking about, the shirts is the reason.
Yes, she does. She does both the heat press t-shirts and the embroidery.
Okay.
So if we have now, she'd need Healing Waters to allow her to use their
Logo.
right to do it, but she can do both embroidery and the heat press for
Okay.
t-shirts.
So
So
that's something we'll work on aside, but yeah, I'd like to get us t-shirts and all that. We've, so that volunteers, participants could all have nice t-shirts. So we'll do that. But again, I was really excited about this. So even this past weekend, I was down there, I was trying to help Mayfly Project with the kids fishery, but for Project Healing Waters, I've already visited Larry's, Charlie Reading, and Weavers. And so they're all super excited. The way I approached it was I just wanted them to know we were coming down there and be part of the fun. I didn't request anything, but they're already saying they want to help out in any way they can. So I tried to just say, hey, come out, we want to help you guys too, but they really want to help out the veterans. So it looks like everyone's jumping in. I talked to Ben Haven, he's excited about it. I didn't see Jim Rogers. I really wanted to thank him for it, but looks like it's going to be a good week. So, if you guys could make it out, it's going to be a good time. It sounds like they are not going to do the competition in the field to get our yarn hooked up. It's going to be at the high school football field. So it's going to be wide open, even, bleachers so we could root everyone on. So it sounds like it's going to be a good time. So if you could make it great, I think even one of the other days I thought was going to be really cool because they'll have their competition, but they're down there for a week. So we're trying to show them a good time. And I've heard they're even going to do a float trip with them. So again, I'm hoping that, and my hopes is we show them such a good time that everyone's like, wow, that was so much fun. Come 2024, they're going to say, hey, where do we want the national competition? And it's just like, yeah, let's go back to Bennett. So.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I think, again, the town is extremely they're very patriotic, just from that side of it. And we've got a lot of support just in that area. It was not a wheel and deal. So I will let you know, just based on the bids that came in, Jim Rogers has done a lot. And if you guys don't know, also, just between his affiliation. So it really is something. And right now, I mean, as far as we've got our lodging and airfare and to get people here and all that's in the works, from that side, that's actually what I do. And then the other part is that camping is the reason why we went with this week. It's a month later than it normally is, but we have a couple other big events coming up. And one of them being the Charles Baswell Great Plains Bonefish, which falls on the 17th through the 20th of August. And so that's something also we didn't want to collide into. But fun fact for you, if you guys are on trivia teams, the first 2 weeks in August are actually the highest traffic in our Missouri state parks. Makes sense, right? Everybody's getting ready to go back to school. We want to be good stewards, just like our Vets Fish Free Days. We always pick the weekend after a holiday, because that generally helps put people in the parks. So this was kind of a deliberate on that. And we do have the fourplexes in Bennett Springs, and then the meals will be at Bennett as well. So pretty cool. They'll get, hatchery tour and some help stocking and a couple other things. But yeah, most definitely the campsites are available at Bennett. There's also Hidden Valley, which is across the road. And then Sand Springs is always another great one too, if you just want kind of a good economical visit. Those are great. They're very comfortable rooms. So all of the areas around us really support it. Pretty
What was
cool.
it, Amy?
So again, yeah, hopefully, soon, I know the planning's in the works. We'll have the itinerary for each day. So if there's something you really want to see, then you could pick your dates, I know they're taking care of them for the float trip, but if you wanted to float along with them, then you would actually be able to kind of rent a canoe or raft or as well to kind of hang out with the whole group as well. So that will be coming out. So eventually, I'm really looking forward to this. So I've already taken the entire week off at work. So I told them already the previous few days off for their Heartland. I told them I'm good now. I won't be taking any more vacation, and then turning around and taking a whole week there, and then taking off several days for the Charles Baswell bonefish tournament. So they're like, yeah, go for it. You got the day. So
Well, you just got to retire, Mick. That's all there is to it. You
I
got too
can't
much volunteer work going on.
yeah, it gets harder and harder every day, especially, as I said, camper is almost sold, and then we bought a little mobile home out there. So because we only go to Bennett and back, so we got a good taste of what retired life is going to be. So we're enjoying it out there. So again, we'll be out there to help. If any of you guys have any questions, we're there. So
if we want to volunteer, are you going to need volunteers down there to help, or are they going to bring everybody their own?
I think they're going to have their own casting instructor, just like we had Lee and Roger. They'll bring 2 people, but I think for the most part, everything's taken care of. But I, would kind of hope too, St. Louis could be there if as a catch-all, and we'll have to talk more on that. I don't know, Amy, if there's officially everything's taken care of, or you still need some bodies to help out here and there.
So right now, the field judge is coming in from Tennessee, and we've got a lot of it covered, Terry, but I'm never going to turn down a great volunteer. So how about we keep you posted on that part of it?
And yeah, keep posted. And then something, if you guys want to come out there, this is where reason why I want to get those St. Louis Project Healing Waters fly fishing. This is almost kind of like our home waters. We know it. Most of us have fished it. We're going to have all these, veterans, our brothers coming down here to fish, but they don't know the waters, so if you guys want to be some amateur guides, that's what I plan on being there, is if some of the guys want to go fishing, but they're like, man, where do we go? Well, I know the zones, so tell them zone 1 and 2 is where us fly fisher will be, and if you want to, you know, fish this, fish that. So we'll just kind of, you know, I plan to be out there to kind of help them along, and if someone wants to go fishing, I'll be their fishing buddy for the day. So, and I'll offer that up to the St. Louis group if you're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea and a way we could help. And again, show the hospitality of our program and of Bennett and Lebanon, in hopes that in future years, they're just gonna say, let's just keep on going to Bennett. And, you know, let's run with this and then kind of be proud of what St. Louis has done for the program. So that's my thoughts.
Great.
So that's the big news. So, you know, looking forward to it. I already got it on the calendar and counting days, so it should be a good time. For those of you looking at the calendar, as we said, it goes through the 28th through the 1st. And then we have Saturday, Sunday, the 2nd and 3rd, and then the 4th of September is actually Labor Day. So, you know, if you want to plan for a long extended trip like we are, I think Margie and I are going to be there the 24th through the 4th. So again,
The Labor Day weekend, that river will be packed for
Okay.
floaters.
yeah,
So,
the
We're
park will be
floating,
packed.
we're floating on Thursday. That's why we picked Monday through Friday.
Yep.
Okay.
So there you go. There's one of the things we talked about. So the float would be the 31st. So if you want to do a cool float, if you haven't done one in a while, I know Margie and I haven't done one in several years. Good time to go. You know, it's just kind of fun, relaxing time. You'll be amongst friends, and you know, we'll stop and fish. You know, that's
drink a couple beers.
yeah, drink a few beers. Nope.
Not on this trip, folks.
not
It's a
on this
Project
one.
Healing- it's
Oh,
a
okay.
Project Healing Waters event.
Yep. So since it's an official event, no alcohol, but fishing. So right outside the park, you know, that's where a lot of the brown trout like to hang out. And I've actually saw a cool video of a guy, 3 casts, had a rainbow, a brown, and a smallmouth. 3 casts, boom, boom, boom in a row. So a lot of good fishing out there, you know, and it's just a fun time to cruise around on a canoe or something. So again, so there it is. We got the float on Thursday. We'll figure, you know, again, I'm sure they already have, okay, you know, the primary day for the casting competition will be this, but we'll have a backup day. So all that will be coming out probably once the official email comes out. You guys are getting the pre stuff beforehand. So that's it.
As far as my trailer goes, I'm gonna get a whole axle assembly, everything but the springs. So
Okay.
the spindle was chewed up, so there's no way you could, you know, turn the spindle and put smaller bearings on. So I got to get the whole assembly, about $1,000.
Oh,
They've cleaned out my kitchen, and they're gonna rebuild my kitchen because the dishwasher leaked. And then I'm gonna take my truck to Midas so they could replace that piece of exhaust pipe that I lost this week
Yeah.
also.
Lee's had a rough time, so soon we got to take Lee on a good fishing trip. Hope we.
Lee, you can't touch vehicles no more.
Yeah.
Lee, I feel your pain. I just went down and bought cabinets for my kitchen renovation last week. And I'm still trying to recover from the sticker shock. Over $1,000 just for the sink my wife wanted.
Ooh.
Hopefully the insurance company will cover all of mine because I bought this dishwasher from Home Depot. It's an LG machine and it's never worked. They brought it in, banged it up, so they
Yeah.
should.
All right. Well, hopefully they'll take care of it. But again, we'll have fishing for you soon. I know the 20th, hopefully we'll see you down at Walt.
Okay.
Have a good
You'll
time.
need
So,
those jack stands you have, if you don't mind.
yep. Yeah. By all means, when you start to work on that trailer, give me a call and,
Okay.
you know, I'll be more than happy. I got big floor jacks and big, you know, jack stands and everything. I've been a mechanic since I've been 18, so we'll get knocked out for you.
Yeah, Mick, Amy posted in the chat that flies for their goodie bags would be great.
Oh,
Yeah. You know, let's do that. Yeah,
I
we
just
can
got
do-
30 boxes from Dave Jacobs, used to be my assistant PL, and a bunch of flies from Paul Fidelis down in Australia. I'll go ahead and stuff what I've got and I'll let you know how many fly boxes I've got full of flies.
Yeah, and we can do something on that where each one of them, John, I mean, as far as if somebody wants to take that on, like a fly swap, but actually fill those, and every participant coming, I'm anticipating 14 to 15 participants from around the country coming in. We won't have all 19. But we could put them in and actually make it where they have similar good
Okay,
looking
yeah,
fly boxes. So I can definitely, send some, and then even if it's a pass around.
yeah, just let me know what you need and I'll be more than happy to get whatever you need to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. And I'm
All
kind
right.
of,
Uh,
Well, guys, I was gonna drop
Amy-
over in the
Yeah.
chat. I gotta
Amy,
jump.
before you, oh, okay, I was
Oh,
gonna
go
ask you. But do you or Don know we're getting ready to leave for Colorado? And I know we've got Healing Waters out there. Is there any contacts that I can
I'll
get a
get 'em
hold of
for
out
you.
there? Oh, you
Yep.
got
Yeah,
Nick?
where are you going in Colorado?
Estes Park, Breckenridge, and Durango.
Okay, get a
Yep.
hold of Pat Higgins. He's the Denver program lead out there. And he's a real good guy and I can, Mick, if
send me the info and then I'll send it to Eddie.
you'll send it to
Yeah,
Eddie? Okay, all right.
And
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Eric Syverson is in Breckenridge. It's called Colorado Alpine. It's actually all of their contact information is even on our website. If
Yep.
you just hover over and click on the state, and then it'll give
Okay.
you all the programs that are
Yeah.
out there. Just reach out to any of them. And yeah, Eric is harder to get a hold of. Pat's very responsive. But
Okay,
yep,
And
you
all
got
those
some
guys
good
are great.
stuff there.
They
sorry
will
about
help you.
holding you
When I
up.
was out there 5 years ago, they told me exactly where to go and they were right.
Yep, they're good. They're good folks. So, well, I'm gonna jump off because I'm headed to Montana, folks. Somebody's got to do it.
Someone's gotta do it. All right,
Safe
Amy, safe
travels, Amy.
travels. Thank you.
I will see you guys next month.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.
So let me see, we are 10 minutes until 7 o'clock. Any last go arounds? I know.
Hey, did Dave catch anything at Merrimack Springs?
I, okay, I got that on there about 11 o'clock on Thursday. They stocked 150 fish. And I think they had 70 tags sold. So no on Thursday. Then Friday, they stocked 150. And then I was just about ready to pack up and leave because hadn't even seen a fish in 2 days. So I was just about ready to pack up and leave. Here comes the fish truck, and they started dumping fish about 30 feet away from me. So I caught I hooked 3. The first one snapped my indicator right off the line. It was a good sized fish, and I was using 4-pound test, and before I could react, he's ran with it and snapped the line. And then the other 2 I brought close to the shore, and then I played with them so they could get off on their own.
So the moral of the story is to follow the fish truck.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
No, they followed me.
nice.
They had asked another guy out there, "Have you caught anything today?" Says they haven't even seen a fish, and he said, "Well, you will now, and I'll come to fish." He must have thrown in a couple hundred. There's a retirement home or somebody brought 3 bus loads of people down to the pavilion, and so I guess they decided to put more fish in.
Very cool. I
You'll
know.
notice I've got a new flash screen tonight, Mick.
Yeah, I saw that, the crappie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's they're on their beds and I got a chance to get out fishing today for the first time this year. And that was one of 3 that I caught in about 30 minutes.
That's a
Nice.
good looking fish too.
Yeah, they were all about 10 to 12 inches long. And they're real picky about what they bite on. This guy hit on a woven tail damsel nymph,
Okay.
but they are fun.
Yep. So Saturday I was out at Bennett again, volunteering to help kids fish free with mayfly. and had a good time with that. And I actually got to go fishing for a little bit in the evening and did okay. It was, I think Bennett, if you included all the free tags with the kids, and then, mom and dad are out there and grandparents out there, I think they sold 2,000 tags. So the pressure was high on the fish, but it was still a good time. But I'd still say the highlight of my entire weekend is I was just setting up at the tent. They had the same tent from Veterans Day, when we heard a lot of hooting and hollering, and this little gentleman here.
Oh,
5
nice.
Mhm.
So
That's
Yeah.
great.
the place went absolutely up for grabs when mom netted that for them and they brought it out. So that was an absolute blast, because you just heard the cheering as they got it. So he ended up with the largest fish for the kids fish free. So I think he's got enough fishing gear now to definitely carry him until he's 18, because they're like, he did this, here's a rod for you. It's like, well, that's a spinning rod. And they gave him a fly rod. They gave him a vest. He got waders. He got boots. He got fly boxes.
Taking them mounted for him?
I know they kept it for sure. It looked like they were I don't know if they were going to or not, but at that point I would definitely, take the measurements on it, with the weight,
yeah.
one of those castings of it. Cause that's what I planned. I told Margie and I, if once we get that over 5 pounder, then we'll get a casting of it. So
Hey, Jim, just to let you know, the Burbus River down here has quite a bit on walleye.
that would be cool too. I've never.
Walleye in the Burbus?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
yes.
Had no
there's a
idea.
lot of- There's quite a bit of walleye down there. So I don't know what flies they would hit on,
You
but
just gotta go
Like a
deep.
leech.
Yeah.
dynamite, freak, I
No,
don't know.
clouser minnows, any kind of streamer will work on a walleye.
Yeah,
Clouser minnows are usually what people use for walleye, at least here in Nebraska.
you just gotta go deep.
But they have quite a bit, they have a lot of walleye down here by Union and that area from UU down. I don't know what we're catching. You take a float trip and it's probably the crookedest place that I've ever been in. Cause we floated for an hour, got out and went up the hill to take a pee. And I was in the same place I was an hour ago on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, it switches back a whole lot in that area.
Yeah.
So Jim, what fly did he use to catch that smallmouth?
Well, I call it a June bug booger. It's a fly that I made myself, and it was inspired by a June bug rubber worm.
Ooh.
And I can throw together a pattern sheet for you guys and send it out if you would like.
If you could
Like
send
that.
it to me, that's what, I was like, all right, trying to think of a fly for next week. If you could send me
Yeah.
a pattern sheet, I will tie that for next week. So at least we know it'll catch smallmouth bass. So
Yeah, no, I'd be more than happy. If you want, I can tie it next week. I can send out a pattern and tie
Yes.
it next week, and
Oh,
it doesn't take that long to tie. So how about if I add like a pheasant tail soft tackle, which is what I caught most of my trout on Thursday. So
it's perfect.
two flies that have been very effective for me. So
Okay. We'll do.
I'll take care of
Jim's
that next
favorite.
week.
Yep. All right. So we'll call Jim's favorites for next
Yeah,
week.
there you go.
Also, does anybody need my address or can I get a count on who wants to come?
Okay, the invite for your fly picnic just went out, so everyone could start checking their emails. If you were in the system, Denny, I don't know if I still can't find you in the system, but we'll get with you to get the info for Walt.
Eddie knows where I live.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then you know where to go. So
I do know where to go.
So does that invitation include his address? Because I don't know where it is.
yes, it's in the address, so it's in there.
Yeah.
That way, that's part of the invite when we say where we're gonna go, they ask for an address, so it's in there.
Okay,
And so-
I would like to know by next week who's gonna come so I can get some of the food prepared.
Yeah, and that's where I'm glad you brought that, Walt. It does help me, as you see, it does help Walt as well. If you do RSVP for it, because then we know if we're buying food and all that on how much we need. No matter what, the program will pay for it, but I'd hate to, okay, we're gonna have 10 people and have enough food for 10 people, then we get 20 people show up. So, that's where we ask for help with the RSVPs.
Okay.
And we could kind of get a good head count. But that's about it, so now we're right up on the 7 o'clock. Any last go backs before I cut you guys loose?
so when Thursday, when I was down on the Little Piney, like I say, I was already about a mile and a half down from the access. And don't see too many people there, but some guy started walking down the river, and as he got closer, it was Jim Marsteller, which so some of you
I've
guys
seen him
don't
there
know.
2 or 3 times myself.
But Jim, Jim was very active with Project Healing Waters. When I first got it, as a matter of fact, it was Jim and Jim Wallace who got me started at Healing Waters back in 2012. They came to a Ozark Fly Fishers meeting and gave a presentation about Project Healing Waters. And I said, oh yeah, sure, I'll give that a try. So I know Terry knows him. Dave, you probably know him, right?
Yeah. I
So-
shared a cabin with him at the first
Yeah.
trout buck.
Yeah, so that was fun. That was neat running into him again. I haven't seen him for a long time.
That's good. So it's always nice to see different people. So
Hey,
again,
One more thing, Denny Purrier had a thing on Facebook about tick Lyme disease.
Mhm.
And that was really good and really informative.
yeah, do protect yourself. Deep, kind of put something you could spray on your pants by your legs, because ticks were out big time at Bennett this past
Yeah.
weekend. So I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, we'd just be
And-
talking and you'd just be picking them off yourself.
Yeah,
I live with
same here
somebody
in
that
Nebraska, so.
I live with somebody that got bit by the tick, and now she's just now, after about 2.5 years, she's able to take like one bite of bacon because she can't eat anything with like pork or chicken or pork or beef or venison, anything that's mammal. She can't eat it because of a tick bite.
Yeah. And I know, Denny, you've been fighting this for years, haven't you? So
Yeah, I would say close to 10 years. It almost took my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was in bed for almost 2 years. I was even on oxygen for 2 or 3 years.
So
Wow.
you might think it's
Matter
just
of fact, I didn't do any fishing or fly tying for almost 10 years.
Wow.
When I just got back into Healing Waters, that's when I recently got back into fly tying again. So it was like trying to learn how to ride the bike all over again.
So was that from Lyme disease or Rocky Mountain spotted fever or?
Well, they called it Lyme disease. What it did, it turned into something, I think they called it lupus, and then lupus turned it into, it lowered my immune system, which
Mhm.
became CIDP. I was
Okay.
losing my ability to walk.
Yeah,
I
my
had
wife's
no
got,
move- I had
my
no
wife's got-
movement in my toes.
Oh,
My feet
Jesus.
would drop when I would try to walk. I would fall all the time. It's
Yeah.
it's bad.
it is. My wife's got what they call alpha gal. And she got the Rocky Mountain spotted fever with it, but this alpha gal, it's an enzyme in the tick that makes you allergic to any type of mammal. So like if we get tuna, she can't eat canned tuna. Because
My
there's a
wife
chance
has
that,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
And we've been dealing with that for the last 2.5 years. She just went and did an auricular therapy deal that seems to have lessened some of the side effects, but she still can't sit down and eat a steak or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
is there any kind of spray or any tick stuff you can put on that'll keep them away?
As long as it's got DEET in it.
DEET, you know,
DEET? Okay,
yeah, DEET. And
okay,
I'm
Right
trying to-
on the outside of your clothes,
Yes,
not
outside
on your
clothes,
skin.
okay,
not on the skin.
Mm-mm.
okay. So it's probably not a good idea to be wearing shorts.
No.
You just put it on your boots and your socks, so they have to
Okay.
kind of get through that.
Can you put it on the outside of your tent?
Yes.
You could put it on any cloth you want. I don't know if that would mess up your waterproofing of your.
That's what I
tent,
was thinking, yeah.
But
It shouldn't, because it's a repellent. It's not like real oily or anything like that. It's just a straight repellent.
Okay,
So it should work just fine on your tent. But the ticks are supposed to be really bad this year.
and
yeah, I'm supposed to go walleye fishing at Merritt Reservoir in June. And there's only
I don't know if you could see that, the Sawyer,
Sawyer, okay,
what I have in it, everyone says that's the best, and that's why I bought it. I
Okay.
haven't had tick issues, but I kind of, sounds like, from what I was told, I had a mild Lyme disease, but I'm kind of following the same path as Denny, so we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. I'm having difficulties moving around, so we'll see what happens from it, but I'm still gonna go fishing as far
there you go.
as I can.
Put that
So,
on the internet, Mick, would you?
all right, yep. So, yeah, I will put that in our email for sure, that's.
Please.
You're going out there, please, use that stuff. It's, I've been known, I don't need sunscreen, I don't need this, but yeah, we need it, guys, so be safe when you're out there. All right,
Yeah,
so-
these diseases aren't anything to play with.
yeah, no, you don't want to be on the losing side of that, so. All right, with that, I want you guys get back with your families, check for emails if I, need anything. Again, good news coming our way. If you need to get a hold of me, email, text, phone call, but soon I'll see you guys soon at Waltz. Again, if any of you guys are going fishing and looking for buddies, send out an email. I'll probably do this next email that I do for the group. I won't BCC it. I'll just put it out to everyone. So if you need email addresses to contact people, if you want to say, hey, I'm going fishing, go ahead, send them out, use it.
Oh,
for-
by the way, our trip to Table Rock was awesome. We caught decent fish. It was a little rough up close to the hatchery spillway, but when you got away from the hatchery spillway down below, the fish were hitting really nice.
Good.
And I ended up catching a couple in the probably 15-inch range. And I had one that I never saw. It went left, right, across the river, and so did my fly and my leader. And
Sounds like
I never saw what it looked like, but it acted like it was huge.
Cool. All right, gentlemen, have a good evening. Again, if you need anything, reach out and we'll be fishing and tying together soon. So.
Headlines. up.
Okay, see you
All right,
guys next week.
Eddie,
Yeah,
give me a
take care.
call.
Have a good night.
All right, I can do that right now.
My
See you
stuff's
guys.